Okay, it's Joel Olson here coming at you with another variable rate update. Let's talk about where a particular question that I think is fresh on people's minds, but people understand a different way. So, is the government doing this on purpose? So, first of all, I think that you can have two beliefs, and I can believe that I can believe the government is raising rates on purpose to negatively affect families and Canadians, or I can believe the government is incompetent and is not it does not have the competency to consider all factors, and either one would probably cause me to come to the same conclusions, regardless of intention. I think the result would be similar. So that's an important thing to remember. So first of all, we need to know with raising rates here that no matter what you see on the news, no matter what your friend tells you or anything else, it is undoubtedly true at this point that the Bank of Canada is giving no consideration, for the most part, to how much your mortgage payment is being affected. If we go back to the beginning of the year, would I ever think that we'd have such a meaningful impact? I mean, people would ask me and saying, "Well, could we really move rates up that high?" And I would say that's pretty doubtful. And the only people I heard saying that were people that were not really super credible sources. I still think that is. I still think that there is some validity to what we were saying. So first of all, we need to know that rates are being moved up purely from a political perspective. Hey, there's nothing we can do, but we don't want to seem like we're asleep at the controls, and so we want to do something so it looks like we're doing the right thing. That's exactly what Tiff Macklem at the Bank of Canada is doing. Don't believe anything different. He's getting pressure from folks that this is the mechanism for inflation. There's only two ways that the Bank of Canada can control the economy. One is raising and lowering interest rates, and one quantitative tightening and quantitative easing. And so, as a side note, it's interesting to note that in the UK, they've already brought back quantitative easing. We're in a quantitative tightening period, but that is so they've already brought back a policy that would indicate that they're in recessionary territory. So that's just a side note, just to be aware of. I think that the important factor and the only way that they start to consider Canadians as far as your mortgage payment would be considering the fact that they only consider it when collaboratively and as a group across Canada, consumer behavior is affected. So when you see as a group and as massive numbers, less consumption of goods, less people going to shopping malls, using discretionary spending, that's when that's impacting the Bank of Canada decision. And something that's really an interesting thing we've seen this year is, although individually, you may feel rates going up, that is a little scary and that bothers me. By and large, and this is not just a statistic, this is absolutely true for the people that I talk to. Although rates going up is irritating, they have not impacted their spending whatsoever. There's a few reasons around that. First of all, people are sitting on a lot of savings, a lot of folks. Two, people are still sitting on a lot of equity, so people still feel richer from that perspective. People are making more money, and the last part of it is that, as we talked before, we stress those people higher. So technically, when they look at their budgets, it still makes sense, and they're still made to make work. So people are not having any impact on their consumer spending, and so that is a surprising trend this year. They move rates up, and people still spend and don't adjust. I think that we're seeing when people get pooled and when they do surveys, and I think people have the intention to spend less, but then don't. I think we're seeing a lot of that, and that means that that's part of the plan. But back to the question at hand: is the government doing this on purpose? I think that it's not that they're doing it on purpose, but they're not giving a lot of thought to your mortgage payments going up, as I would have once thought, or they would have once done, because people have not been reacting to them. That's what it comes down to. And so that's once people start reacting to it. Now, I do think that is inevitable. People are going to react to it, and that stops the rate increases and probably further stops the rate decreases. We're coming. We as interesting as it might sound, we're not that far away from Christmas, which we find people being not very super realistic around Christmas, and really do take a new toll of their finances in January. I think that's going to be a telling story on what we look at from that perspective. So, I mean, I don't know that I don't know that we could rule out the government doing it on purpose. They're just not getting any consideration for you as a consumer. And I think that we need to prepare ourselves. The government is not considering the fact that I feel the crunch. The only way they're going to consider that is if collectively people stop spending money, because that affects them. So that could be one thing. But secondly, I would say that we're continuing to encourage people. Remember, the idea of Bank of Canada increasing rates is for you to feel poor, for them to suck up the excess of money supply in the economy. So all the money that's swirling around from money printing, they want to like evaporate that up into things. The best way to do that is actually the GDP, goods and services, creating more stuff and more services. But that seems to be something that they're not doing, and so this creates a lot of the problem. So the goal is to slow growth in that perspective. And again, I mean, beat this to death. We think about people always with a variable rate talk about, oh, should lock into fixed. Remember, these are two of the same beast. Rates are high across the board. There is the disadvantages are affecting fixed rates. And what do I mean by that? If you locked in, you're looking at some heavy comparison rates, and you're not having the ability to tap into your equity. You're not having the ability to sell your property. And so if you think that we're looking at some choppy economic waters, if you think the situation is that we're looking at some choppy economic waters where, we could have some, business slowdowns, we could have some, situations where you have to switch jobs, the last thing you should be doing is going in a restrictive mortgage that doesn't enable you to tap into equity for more cash where some of your wealth is held, or sell your home. And so this is, I think we've really turned our message that this is very important, is that it's not that, oh, last year fixed rates are lower and variable rates are lower, is that the environment is different. And the strategy why you take a variable rate mortgage remains the same regardless of economic conditions. And it's not about just that, oh, it would have been better to take the rates. It's the type of product and the flexibility and the importance of what it provides people, why we often recommend that product. Now, I wanted to last circle on a few things. And so this is super important, is that we are seeing a very, very meaningful effort at this point of banks calling people to lock in and telling them it's better to lock in, and now is the time. Way more aggressive than we saw throughout the year before rates went up, and this is a really telling sign. I ask you this question, and I want you to consider this every day you think about a fixed rate. Do you believe that the bank is working for your best interest by calling you that? Do you believe that they're asking clients to lock in right now because they feel like they need to save the money? No, it is most likely that they believe that we are at the end of a rate cycle. If they have you lock in now, that is the most attractive scenario for them. If you lock in right now, this month, when you've already taken a couple of beatings. And so I can tell you that if they think the variable rates have room to increase, I can tell you they're not pushing locking in because they know there's still room to increase. If they think that the fixed rates can still get higher, I can tell you they're not moving you to lock in that much. They know there is a light around the corner for that to happen. And the fact that's happening is a very, very telling sign. And I want you to really think about that. As always, I remain available for your questions. Please do reach out if you want to chat about anything. I'm here for you. Please share this video with your friends. I'd love for you to subscribe to our video on our channel. It would really help us out. We're a small business just like many of you. And so it'd really help us out if you did that and share with your friends. We'll talk to you soon.